All right. Hey guys, this is Justin West with Meet the Contractor again. And it's been a little bit of a hiatus since I've been here, but I am back on. And I want to introduce you guys to someone really, really cool. I was actually having a conversation with her. Her name is Shelly Armato, and she is the CEO and founder of MySmartPlans.com and Construction Black Box. And she is pretty spunky, I got to say. We had a really good conversation, and I told her I wanted to have her on here at least once and kind of get a feel for her philosophy on construction and everything else. And so she agreed to come on the show today, and we were going to talk a little bit about letting the fox into the hen house, and she's going to tell us a bit more about that. So, but first, Shelly, how are you doing today?
I am great. Thank you so much. I am great. It's hot, but that's okay.
Yeah, welcome to Kansas, right?
Yes.
If any of our viewers are from somewhere a little bit north, you are very lucky this summer. We are both Kansans, so it's hot and it's sticky. Well, Shelly, you had mentioned a phrase, letting the fox into the hen house, and we all know what that means as a colloquial turn of expression. But what do you mean that by letting the fox into the hen house when it comes to construction?
So interestingly enough, I was at a meeting this morning and I was using the word corruption because it's so obvious in construction. There's this thing going on and you can't ever quite get a handle on what it is. And the people that you're working with, you want to believe are good people. I mean, we just have, as Americans, we want to believe people are good people. So I kept dropping the corruption word, and the guy goes, look, I think it's more like the fox in the hen house. I get what you're saying. I want to go with the fox in the hen house. So you're protecting me as an owner during construction and allowing me to build a wall between the hen house and the fox. And I said, okay, we'll call it that. But everyone knows it's this ongoing saga. I mean, you read in the paper all the time about these projects that are, there's one right now. I think there's a $300 million change order, or actually $1 billion change order in the Panama, where they were redoing the Panama Canal and just disaster of documents. And so the trick in construction is that the owner is drinking from a fire hydrant. I mean, he is getting stuff thrown at him right and left. And ultimately, we always want to be friends with our people that we work with and we want to trust. And so he said, this is going to give me the opportunity to trust, but I'm going to be able to verify. So our theme is keep the fox out of the hen house, but really we're talking about corruption, but it's whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
All righty. So that's a huge change order, by the way. 300 million to $1 billion or whatever. I can't even fathom. Like, that money has to come from somewhere, probably coming from various taxpayers and whatnot.
Yes.
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
You were mentioning, and I was actually talking to someone else that you work with named Derek, and he had mentioned you guys actually caught a really big change order once too with the software you guys have. Can you tell me a little bit about the MySmartPlan software, what you guys do, and about that change order that got caught?
Yeah. So the thing that's unique about MySmartPlans, and we stand in a league of our own because we're the central organized document library that's managed by us. So we're a third party that's standing in the gap saying, hey, here's all the information. Mr. Owner, you get to make great decisions with now the truth of the facts instead of trying to speculate. So this was a large project. We have projects that range from 100,000 to over billions of dollars in project size because each one of them have the same exact problem. I'm trying to find information. So this particular problem, it was over $1 billion, and there was a contract change, and it was a $12.5 million unauthorized change that the owner asked us for a file, and within 24 hours, we gave him the file with the complete audit trail. And then he said, I would have spent $1 million to get what you gave me in 24 hours. So we call ourselves a black box because, when there's a plane crash, they always are like, oh, we got to get to the black box, And there's never been a black box in construction projects. It's always just been, again, it's just, I trust, but my gut's telling me there's something else. And so we allow for authentic relationships. And so that was that change order instance. But we've got tons of stories like that. It's really sad, actually.
That's crazy. Now, I know that there's a lot of softwares out there that supposedly are construction project management softwares. What makes MySmartPlan so different?
Well, first of all, one of our clients, this is a funny story. So there's this huge contractor in Kansas City, and which is kind of weird, but we build a lot of headquarters for contractors. So they use us on their own property, on their own projects, but they don't really promote us to the public because, oh, God forbid that there's transparency. So this project went up and, finished ahead of schedule, under budget. Our turnover at the end of the project was complete, which is also unheard of. You never get your turnover at the end of the project or closeout or whatever you want to call it. And the things that you get in the closeout are again, it's just a fire hydrant. I mean, here's a bunch of paper or CDs and try to figure it out. And so ours is a self-running executable file that runs for the next 50 years, and it's fabulous. But what makes us unique is that we are, number one, the people that are managing everything. So we provide a service besides just a software. And then also our training, it's maybe 3 hours. It depends on how deep you want to get into the weeds with this. But it's designed to be super simple to use because no one wants to learn anyone else's software. No one wants to learn, any other software. They want to be able to do their project. I mean, if you're a plumber, they are not a computer guru. They're a plumber. If they're a painter, they're a painter. They don't want to learn your software. I mean, not to be offensive, but I don't want to learn it. I want to be able to do my job. So that's where we stand apart.
That's crazy. And you were telling me, I don't remember the exact duration of time, so you can refresh my memory here. But a lot of those softwares that are out there, like I think eBuilder is one of them, they can have, is it weeks of time to learn the software?
Actually, I just talked to a client that, again, they kind of poo-pooed us in the beginning, patted me on the shoulder and said, oh, honey, you can't handle our business. And we just finished their world headquarters. But they had just purchased another software out of Australia. And we went to lunch and we were talking about, this new software. And I mean, they're honestly all the same thing. You're trying to catch the change order, but you're not in the middle of the document flow. So it doesn't matter what your software is. And so this particular client, they were impressed because the CEO flew from Australia to meet them. Really? So that means you have this huge sales cycle where you're trying to, develop rapport and trying to, feel your way through this. And I told him, I said, well, I'm in Kansas City, Kansas. I mean, it's pretty close. I can fly from Australia if you need to, but we don't need a huge sales presence. We need to know, we walk in, here's the data, here's what we do, and here's how we do it. We can start in 24 hours. So this particular contractor, it was taking them 2.5 years to implement their new system. 2.5 years. And I'm sitting here, these people are smart people. Hello, in 2.5 years, who knows what's going to happen? But they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they still have not solved the problem of, number one is relationship. I want a relationship with my client on trust and verify. Number two, the turnover. There's never, ever anything for the turnover that the owner can use. And number three is value. I mean, I need to start my project now. I don't need to train someone for, a year. And then another thing that happens in the marketplace is that after you train your employees and you spend all this money and you pour into them, another company will come and buy that same software, and then they just pilfer your client, your employee, because they say, hey, I don't want to, let's just find another company that does this, and then we'll hire them. It just goes on and on and on. This cycle never ends. So we set ourselves apart a lot. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. It sounds very frustrating, and it sounds like the type of thing that would just be, it sounds like there's a whole bunch of different headaches out there, and I'm sure a lot of people who are project managers or who, own construction companies and whatnot, they probably deal with this on a pretty regular basis. And so it sounds like what you guys have is a pretty good plan. I think I want to have you back on a couple more times. I'd really like to talk a little bit more about some of these things. I know you have some really great stories, actually. In fact, one of the reasons I wanted you on is to hear some of these stories that we were talking about. So I think we're definitely going to have you back on again, at least once or twice in the future, maybe a little bit more than that. Before we go, let's come back to that theme one more time of the fox in the hen house, though. I know that you were telling me a story about how sometimes people will kind of fudge the numbers or fudge the minutes or something like that, and somehow you guys have a solution that keeps people accountable. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, just to kind of wrap this up?
Sure. So I think the instance you're referring to is we had a contractor call and say, hey, I need to change my daily log, which a daily log is at the end of every day. They have a reporting system that says this is what happened today, blah, blah. Well, this particular instance, it's a $1 billion build hospital that we're on. And so they said, we need to change this. And so their project information manager, who's here in Kansas City, Kansas, that's managing all the documents, said, send me the new daily log and I'll handle it for you. Well, handling for you means that I'm going to handle it with the owner. So we went right directly to the owner and said, here's your old daily log, here's a new daily log. And the owner said they just set themselves up for this huge change order. And to see that happen is unbelievable. So I mean, whether it's changing the submittal due date, I mean, it just goes on, and it's what they have to do to keep their jobs, and it's what the contractor requires of them. And so we say, why not just do the right thing? Like the gentleman I was with this morning, he said, if there's an honest challenge, I would rather them come sit down with me and say, hey, this happened and this happened, and I can click a button and say, yeah, I see that. And then we can have an intelligent conversation instead of finger pointing, well, the architect did this, or, the general contractor, or the engineer, or the painting, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just a fact. You push the button, it's there. I mean, it's done. So again, it's just about creating relationships and providing an opportunity for everyone to treat everyone fairly and to move forward with the project. And we have owners that have recognized over $14 million in revenue by their project finishing ahead of schedule. Unfortunately, that was a prison. I would rather build churches and have more, profit there. But again, it's about time. People are not interested in learning new technology. They need to build their project. And so it's about time. And that's what we give back to the project is time.
And money, apparently. Well, Shelly, thank you very much for meeting with us today here on Meet the Contractor. I've actually really enjoyed this, and I definitely want to have you back a couple more times. There's a couple things I'd really like to dig into in the future. So that being said, any parting words for our viewers?
No, it's Friday. Oh my gosh. So I would say have a fabulous, amazing weekend.
And hopefully they're not living in Kansas, and if they are, hopefully they have air conditioning in the central area.
Yes.
Alrighty, well, this is Justin West with Meet the Contractor. I've been talking to Shelly Armato with MySmartPlans.com, and she's got some amazing software that really it's best in class because it's the only one in its class, especially because it comes with them as a data aggregator. I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far. You should definitely check them out. We'll have Shelly back on in the future. Again, this is Justin West with Meet the Contractor, and I'm signing off. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.